funny that you say that because I remember, and I don't, it was kind of pulled me because I was in the fitness, own a fitness studio. So I'm always looking for the next best thing in the fitness industry just to try and be a little bit different. And the mindset world just kept pulling me. I would get emails about mindset from all different people across the world. So I started looking into it. And I'm like, wow, this is really interesting, this whole mindset thing. Like I didn't know exactly what it was about. So it just kept pulling me in that direction until I found certain people that did it. And then I started reaching out to their business, tribe, whatever you want to say, and just started looking into it a little bit more. So that's how I initially came across it.
I started on a journey of just self-help. Gosh, I'd say in my early 20s. I was in the Navy from the ages of 20 to 24. And, you know, I'd kind of struggled before then as far as just insecurities like we all do, right? But when I found myself in the Navy by myself without family around, and, you know, wanting a relationship like we all do, and having a boyfriend, I struggled in relationships. I struggled with my confidence in those relationships. It's something that I've been doing for, gosh, it was 25 years now, and started with, you know, books back then. So that's kind of when it all started, is just having the insecurities, but having those insecurities really leading to a deep feeling of sadness. I just didn't know how to control that sadness. It would really start to spiral. You know, it would start here, but I could easily spin myself into a hole. And it was just crazy how much I could get into that hole. But it was a hole that I was familiar with, to be honest with you. Like, being sad was normal for me. I mean, I was a very happy person on the outside. I consider myself, you know, people would probably look at me and I was an optimistic person. You wouldn't know it by looking at me. But, you know, it really goes back to really a habit of being sad that I got into as a child, and dealing with divorced parents and marriages where there was fighting, and, you know, I'm not trying to put anything on my parents, but I know they loved me, but I didn't feel loved and nurtured. And I felt alone as a kid a lot. I spent a lot of time in my mind being sad, and there were a lot of happy times, but I just, for the most part, I was a very depressed child, you know, and I know it hurts my mom to hear that, and I love her so much. But that was my experience, and I can't mask that or lie about it. I just didn't know better. So that really led into an adulthood of just not knowing how to deal with my sadness and wanting to figure out how to fucking be happy.
Brian&Carrie came in. I was on I had a business coach from Australia, and he was coming into New York City to do a fitness summit, and I had never met him before. And I had followed Brian&Carrie on Facebook, so I knew about them, and I knew that they did a little bit of mindset training, and I was a little intrigued by it. And I knew they were coming to New York. So when I went to meet Adam McKenzie, was my business coach at the time, so I was going to meet him for the first time. I had been coaching with him for like 6 months, so I was really excited. I knew Brian&Carrie were going to be there, so I was excited about meeting them. And they were there. They had just started their mindset program. And I thought, oh, I said to Brian, I said, I think I'm going to do your mindset program. And he goes, oh, we just started one. And I said, well, I'll wait till October, thinking it was just going to be another notch of education for me. Nothing life-changing for me. I'm like, I'll just go learn what it's about. Everything's good. And so when I officially met Brian&Carrie, I thought that was awesome. Went back to Pennsylvania. And as soon as the next program came about, I signed up for it. So, and everything changed. Everything changed, because I didn't think it was not what I expected it to be. So I went into it thinking it was just going to be another education program. I could find out how I can incorporate it into the studio. Within the first week, I was like, holy shit. I'm like, this is about me. This is about me changing. And from then on, the 8 weeks just changed everything about how I looked at myself, how I thought about myself, who I really was, because I don't think I really knew who I was. I was just kind of going through the motions in life. And as I found out about the program and I started understanding that it really was about eliminating your limits, not about changing your mindset, but pulling back the layers of the mask that you had on, like all this stuff over the years, and of things that I didn't even know existed. Because until when you go through it and you start realizing that there's this person underneath all of this stuff, and it starts to emerge, everything changes. Everything. My whole life changed. I would get the chills. I would be like, and I remember telling them, I remember calling them, I'm like, you need to sprinkle this shit everywhere. Like, I mean, everybody needs to know about this, because I thought I was good. Like, I'm confident. I have a successful business. I have 3 beautiful children. I had all this stuff going for me. Everything in my life I thought was in a great place. And then they got a hold of me and they started peeling, or actually showing me how to peel all the layers. And as I did, I just emerged, I guess. I don't know. That's the best thing I can say. The word I can feel.
About 2.5 years ago, I found Brian first at a continuing education summit for personal trainers. I was getting my continuing education, so I went to this fitness summit, and he was one of the presenters. I think due to weather, he wasn't able to catch his flight, so they actually had to video conference him in. And that's when I heard about, at that time, they were part of their organization that they owned at the time called Mindset Performance Institute. And heard his presentation, and of course I was there to learn more for, to better myself, to be a better trainer for my clients. But this was something that I heard. I'm like, when he was talking about unconscious drivers, I was just like, I needed to know more about this. It was the first time that I'd ever heard anything about, like, not knowing what I was doing, and there was like this secret thing that was causing me to self-sabotage again and again in relationships. So that was my first introduction to Brian, and then I ended up going to a summit with the Mindset Performance Institute that teaches these same principles, but they've refined. And that's when I met Carrie. At the summit, heard Carrie present, and as soon as she was done with her presentation, I was able to catch up with her in the back of the room, and I was sobbing because I knew I needed to change. I'm looking at all these relationships that I was happy in at first, and then unhappy in, and then, and could spin myself into depression. And I knew that I needed to change myself. I was the common denominator in all these relationships. And I was able to have a one-on-one conversation with her in the back of the room. And that's when I was able to find out more about the one-on-one coaching with her. And that's where everything changed. Like, she's amazing. So that's when everything changed for me. The one-on-one coaching started with me on my laptop, sitting in a closet to get privacy, because I was living with my boyfriend and his 2 kids at the time. And this is for me, she asked me, do you love yourself? And my answer, I'm an emotional person, but I'm not as emotional as some other people. I'm probably more of a logical thinker, overthinker sometimes. And, but that was an emotional question for me. And the answer was sometimes. And I didn't realize the importance of the question or the answer at the time. I just knew it caused pain in me to know that I only loved myself sometimes, because I had so much shame and guilt and, just sometimes just like disgust for the person that I would be. Like, I didn't love myself, when I could get so irritated in a situation and act out in a way that was so just unhuman, unkind. and it was automatic. Like, I didn't even know how to catch it, to turn it off, because we know that it does you no good to act like that. You're not going to get the response that you want. I just didn't want to be that person. It didn't feel good, and I just wanted, like, what everybody wants. I want to feel love, and I want to be happy.
And so now, like, what's the kind of positive side of things now?
Yeah, 2.5 years later, I've done multiple programs with them, and each time I continue to grow. It's not like I fall back. I would if I didn't do the work, but I've done the work. And I'd say in the beginning, I'd say the first year, maybe even 1.5 years, I was inconsistent with that work, in the systems, but I still had growth, tremendous growth. I realized, I ended that relationship that wasn't serving me, because through this process, I was figuring out who I am, what I want, and what does make me happy, and what I choose. I'm realizing I have a choice in what I want to have in my life, and now I can say I love myself. I mean, I know for some people that's just automatic, but for me that was not. And to wake up and not, just to be that every day, and now I'm able to just be more present. The more I do this, the more I'm able to really, catch those thoughts when they come up, and not feel the stress and anxiety. But having tools to be able to deal with the stress and anxiety, because it comes up, but to be able to coach yourself, and put yourself in a place where you don't feel like you can't do something, where you kind of have your own back. It's a pretty awesome place to be. And to continue the journey, to go, all right, where else am I holding myself back? What else do I need to work on? I love the idea of working towards self-mastery to be a better human being, because it feels good. And now, having the daily tools, the daily system to get there, that is so simple. It's like, I just continue to do it, and will continue to do it.
I know it's the missing link. There's so many people out there that want this and need this, and they don't know how. They don't know how to do it, and that's not their job to know how to do it. Their job is to just trust in the process and trust in people that have been there. And I think going through the program makes it more real, because when I talk to people, I tell my stories all the time. I tell them all the things that have happened to me, all the dots that I connected, that brought me to the point where I realized I didn't feel good enough about myself, or I wasn't worthy, or I didn't deserve it, or I didn't feel lovable, or I didn't feel pretty enough, or whatever the things were that I was going through. I feel that there's so many people that feel that way, and they're afraid to say anything because they think they're the only ones. So when I found out when I wanted a coach, I was like, we are so much more alike than we are different. And people need to know that. People need to know that I feel the same way. You might feel the same way, or have gone through the same thing. Brian and Carrie went through the same thing. Like, we all are alike, and helping someone come out of that and see who they really are and blossom, to me, it's so life-changing and so freeing that it's just what I want to do. It's like my passion now. So I get the chills. It gets me all excited.
I was actually thinking this morning, so I'd say, gosh, I'm 45. I'd say when I was around the age of 30, it dawned on me today, I actually looked up, I was in the corporate world. I was in the corporate world for many years after the Navy, before I became a full-time personal trainer, and evolving into what I'm doing now. But I looked up life coaching many, many years ago, when it was probably still brand new. And it was kind of part of that, just, that self-help journey. I've always been, I guess you could say, like a self-help junkie, because I wanted to be happy. I wanted to figure out, why am I not happy? There's some tool that I'm missing. There's something that I'm missing, and I just didn't, and I'd go to the seminars and read the books. But it was a long time ago that I wanted to go into life coaching to help other people, just because I wanted to learn it for myself, and it just felt like such a rewarding career to be able to help people feel better. So now that I've found them with such awesome systems that I just love. I love how easy it is, and I love how rewarding it is. I mean, to be able to have a better relationship with yourself, which leads into every other area of your life. It starts with you. And I know that now, so that's like, it's exciting to be able to help other people, because even when I go to retreats, and people are talking about the pain that they're in, I can look at that person and go, oh my God, like, you're amazing. Like, I see this in you. They just don't see how amazing they are. So to be able to be that coach for them, to help them see that in themselves, that's just epic. It's everything.